Alright, so it looks like Konami has somehow managed to perform a bit of an oopsie by somehow managing to leak this one screenshot via a Chinese social media app. I don't know how these screenshots managed to exist or where they come from, but basically this screenshot, it's a Worlds 2023 Championship ban list, which contains a bunch of skills and a bunch of cards that the Worlds Championship players are not going to be allowed to use at Worlds. And this ban list is rather important because it contains a bunch of cards that we don't have yet, which basically means, obviously, we're going to be getting these cards very, very shortly before Worlds happens, because obviously the only way the players are not allowed to play them is if they're in the game. Alright, so basically, the following contains unreleased cards that have been listed in a screenshot posted on Chinese social media showcasing cards and skills forbidden from being used at the World Championship in 2023. The list also includes the Odd Eyes number skill, CELINA's new skills, which we'll talk about in just a second as a bunch of them have been leaked, and of course, this list also includes some recent event rewards, like the Cosmo stuff and this Confusion Shaft thing. Because this list is basically containing all these new cards and new event cards and all the new stuff that's released around World's time, because Konami doesn't want all the pro players having to play with all these cards that are new, or this new meta, or just stuff that's not familiar to them, that kind of ruins the competitive integrity of Worlds and stuff. So anything that's new is basically banned when it's coming around to Worlds. Which also means this list tells us something else. We're not going to be getting a new box next month. Because if there was a new box, this list will contain a bunch of new cards for that box, which it doesn't. Meaning, there's no new box. To be fair, this is pretty much expected, because every year Konami normally does this around this time. They release a selection pack, they release a structure deck, and that's basically what they do. They just skip the box this month. Which is annoying for content creators like me, as it means less stuff for me to upload. But in general, it's not all that bad, as the structure deck is generally pretty good, and hopefully is some sort of meta-relevant thing in the selection pack that's actually worth investing into it for. And we have no leaks, by the way, as towards what's in those things, but they're probably going to be coming, just so you're aware. Alright, but what we do know is we've got a bunch of whole new Lunalight cards to go through, so let's go through some of these cards. So first of all, we have Lunalight Blue Cat. This card, if this card is special summoned, you can target one Lunalight monster you control except Lunalight Blue Cat. Its attack becomes double its original attack until the end of the turn. You can only use each of the effects of Lunalight once per turn. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon Lunalight monster from your deck. Now this card, I'm going to be honest, I'm not expecting too much from it because it might seem like a really strong effect at first, being able to double the attack of Lunalights, which are really goddamn strong and really goddamn, easily able to OTK in most scenarios, especially considering they have ways to reduce attack to 0, they have ways to attack multiple times a turn, they have massive attack boosting cards. Just the Lunalight archetype itself is just built for OTKing. This thing gives massive attack boost when it's in the graveyard. We have your Crimson Fox, which reduces attacks to 0. We have your Cat Dancer, which can attack multiple times against just everything your opponent controls. So this thing doubling attack sounds pretty good at first, but it's sort of a win more thing in my mind. I'd be surprised if this card really gets all that much play, because we don't need to be able to OTK when the deck is already built for OTKing. It's kind of what the thing does, so I don't really see a point in doubling your attack when your opponent's monsters already have 0 attack and your monster already has 2400 double attack anyway. It seems kind of pointless, so moving on. We have Lunalight's Serenade Dance. When a fusion monster is fusion summoned to your field, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters and apply the effects in sequence. Spirit Summon Lunalight Token, Beast Warrior, blah 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 to your field. That target gains 500 attack for each monster your opponent controls. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, send one card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, Spirit Summon Lunalight monster from your deck. You can only use once per turn. So I don't even know why I bothered reading this card. We don't need a new continuous trap for Lunalight. It's way too slow. Lunalight is literally an OTK deck. If they go second, their entire goal is just reduce one of your opponent's monster attack to 0 and just lethal you on that turn. That is their entire goal. We don't need trap cards in that deck. If anything, we need stally cards so they can pass the turn back to you, because the deck is basically only going second or nothing. So Kite-Roid style cards, nothing like this. Alright, Greater Polymerization, a card that I'd actually never heard of before. Fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using 3 or more monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, and if you do, it gains these effects. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects. If this card attacks a defense fusion monster, inflict piercing battle damage. So this is completely irrelevant for Lunalight, because their new boss monster, which we'll talk about in just a second, is going to be immune to being destroyed by card effects anyway, so I think this is obviously aimed as more of a meme card for some other archetypes or something. And using stuff that uses 3 lots of fusion material, there isn't a whole lot that's relevant currently in Duel Links, so I'm not really sure what this card's even going to be aimed at in that sense, so probably more of a meme card, this one, but sort of a fun card anyway. Alright, then we have the 2 brand new boss monsters for Lunalight. The first one is your Lunalight Panther Dancer. This takes 1 Cat Dancer plus 1 Lunalight monster. Must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials. Cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn during your main phase, you can activate this effect. For the rest of this turn, the first time each monster your opponent controls will be destroyed in battle, it is not destroyed. Also, this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls twice each turn. So basically, same effect as the part of fusion. The monsters uses fusion material, the Lunalight Cat Dancer. Alright. Where were we? Alright. If this card destroys a monster by battle, this card gains 200 attack until the end of the battle phase. So basically, it's just a bigger version of the Cat Dancer. Nothing too special this one. The main card that we want to talk about is, of course, the boss monster, Lunalight Leo Dancer. If they get this card out, you are guaranteed going to be dying. This shit is crazy. This card takes 1 Lunalight Panther Dancer plus 2 Lunalight monsters. Must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, or it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So, very goddamn hard card to get rid of. It takes things like IDP or just really strong trap cards or non-target, non-destruction removal to remove it, which, to be fair, there's a lot in the game currently, like Dingirsu and all that kind of stuff, so it's not exactly the hardest card to get rid of in terms of like top meta stuff, but if you're playing a rogue strategy, the chance of you actually having like the removal source is just not all that high, so this is probably the new cancer card in the game that's going to trigger a lot of people. Alright. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase. Once per turn at the end of the damage step, if this card attacked a monster, you can destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls. So this is basically just a bigger version of the other Lunalight card, which is already immune to targeting effects. So this card was already really goddamn annoying, and this one's just basically a bigger version of it. And it might look like at first this thing might be hard to summon, but keep in mind, we're getting a whole bunch of new skills as well, which should make this thing easier to get out, and we'll talk about that when we get to the new skills. But also keep in mind the Lunalight Fusion spell, for you guys that haven't played the art type, allows you to use fusion materials from your deck, and stuff from your extra deck as well, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. So it's not like these cards are actually impossible to get out at all, so yeah, these should be really goddamn annoying. If there's good enough skills, I'm expecting this to be a very, very cancerous deck. Alright, on top of the new Lunalight cards, there's also a few other little cards leaked, but it's hard for me to get actual information on these cards because they're all actual anime exclusive cards. So we've got a Scab Scar Knight, an Arcfiend Matador, and a Ritual of the Matador, which we do have from the anime, but we don't. These probably are like, take like this with the biggest grain of salt, because it's hard for me to actually get the real card effects of these when they're only shown in anime, so we'll talk about them anyway, just because we can. Alright, so Arcfiend Matador. This card can only ritual summon with a ritual spell card, a Ritual Matador. This card cannot attack. This card is not destroyed as a result of battle, and any battle damage the controller of this card becomes 0. Okay? A monster that battles with this card is destroyed at the end of the damage step. So I guess you're just building a wall? I don't know what this card is. Alright, then we have your Ritual Matador. This card is used to ritual summon, blah blah. You must also treat monsters whose level that is just a very simple ritual spell, nothing too exciting there. So yeah, apparently we're getting this thing at some point. Looks complete garbage, but I don't know, interesting meme, I guess. Alright, moving on. We have the skills. Now, these skills are going to be extremely jank and extremely broken, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be like, there's a good chance that over the next upcoming days there'll be like a full list of these skills with some extra information about them and maybe filling in some of the blanks, so keep that in mind. Keep up to date on the Duel Links meta website if you want to see if there's any more leaks coming out soon, because there probably should be. But in case there's not, this is what we've got so far. So first we've got skill number 1220. At the beginning of the duel, add an unknown card to your deck and an unknown card to your extra deck. Then add one Lunalight Fusion from your deck to the graveyard to your hand. So this is probably going to be the base skill you get for the character, I'm pretty sure, which just gives you some extra stuff in your deck list, and it also gives you a Lunalight Fusion added to your deck. Nothing too exciting here, probably not going to be used all that much, unless for some reason these unknown cards are like these cards for some reason, you can't get these cards by other ways or something, which I don't think it's going to be the case because otherwise they wouldn't be on this list, so yeah. Then we have skill 1221. Unknown conditions, so keep in mind there's going to be conditions on this skill, so it might be completely unplayable already. Place one Lunalight monster from your graveyard face down on your side of the field. Then place one random monster from your opponent's graveyard in attack position to your opponent's field. This is a very funny skill to read, because people that haven't played Lunalight before, you wouldn't really understand what this skill is aiming to do. But the whole goal of Lunalight, which is the main way people would counter it in the past, is you wouldn't place a monster in attack position. Because if you don't have a monster in attack position, your opponent cannot kill you. And if they can't kill you, when they summon out all their stuff, they're just going to be wasting their turn, summon all their stuff, won't kill you, you wipe their field, and their turn's basically done. Because like I said earlier, the whole goal is basically they want to summon out this thing, they want to use your Crimson Fox to reduce the monster attack to 0, then they use this thing to just attack that monster a bunch of times and just lethal your opponent instantly. And that requires, obviously, your opponent to have something in attack position. So this thing gives you a material for potential fusion summoning, and it also gives you a target for your Crimson Fox to reduce Slank to 0. So interesting skill. This actually might become a skill for the deck list that people actually run. We'll wait and see. Depends on what the other skills are first. And also depends on, obviously, the unknown condition we don't know yet. Skill 122222. Each of the following effects can be used once per duel. First effect is unknown. Very helpful. Discard one Lunalight monster from your hand, send one Lunalight monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. So, not the most useful skill, having to use a discard, which is a little bit rough. Especially considering the Lunalight spell already grabs stuff from the extra deck anyway, so I'm not really sure what this is particularly meant to be achieving. It does put this thing potentially in the graveyard, where this card in the graveyard can be banished to buff one of your fusion monsters by 3000 attack, which is kind of useful. So hopefully this first effect is actually something that makes you want to use this skill, because I'm not really sure about this discard stuff. It seems kind of gross. Alright, skill 122 blah blah blah. Unknown conditions. Change all monsters on the field to defense position, half their attack and defense. Doesn't apply to link monsters since they don't have defense stats. This skill, it's fairly I don't think anyone's going to care about this. The reducing of attack and defense is kind of useful because it makes it so that you're able to just beat over just about anything. But putting things in defense position means you're defeating the whole purpose of Lunalight, which is trying to lethal them on that turn by just swinging into their 0 attack monsters. So probably not going to see you play either. Alright, next one. Each of the following effects can be used once per duel. Return one banished Lunalight monster to your graveyard. Return one banished Lunalight monster card to your deck. Yeah, probably not going to be used either. I don't think we care too much about this. The only sort of upside of this is we do have a lot of limits in Lunalight. As you'll see, the Yellow Martin's at 3, we got this dude at 3, and basically just means that a lot of your Lunalight cards, you don't have a whole lot of them in your deck list. Normally, I think the ratio currently is 2 of this and 1 of Martin, or the other way around, whichever one it is, which basically means you don't have a whole lot of them, and this skill lets you recycle those cards that you don't have a whole lot of, so I guess somewhat useful, but probably not what we're going to be using. Alright, then we have the next skill. Unknown conditions. Equip one Mystical Moon from outside of your deck to a Lunalight monster on your side of the field. Fucking Mystical Moon. So this card, I'm pretty sure is the, Yep, the orb, the moon. Equip only to a Beast Warrior type monster, gains 300 attack and defense. Yeah, so this is looking like a bit of a meme. There are some interesting things about this, because it does literally give you a free card, and free cards in Duel Links can be used for a lot of stuff. There's a lot of cards in the game that like equip spells, such as the new Gearfried monster likes equip spells. You can have that one Twin Twister card that pops a back row, things like Storm, is it Heavy Storm? No, it's Storm or whatever it's called. Is it just called Storm? Oh, here it is, yeah, it's just called Storm. The card that destroys spell and trap cards to destroy your opponent's stuff. So I guess this thing could have some uses, and also keep in mind it has a weird condition, so this condition could be something like, I don't know, send something from deck to graveyard, activate this, which might obviously be really, really useful in Lunalight, so not sure about this one. We have to wait and see if it's actually going to be useful. Probably not, though. I'm guessing this is probably more of a meme skill. Alright, final skill. Can be used before your normal draw each time your life points decrease by 1000. One of the cards from your normal draw this turn will be a random Beast Warrior from your deck. we don't care really about this one. Lunalight does actually have a thing where they like to use these life point draw skills. They used to be very, very popular with Destiny Draw, because you'd use Destiny Draw to guarantee you search for your Lunalight. You basically make it so that, because the whole point of the deck list is to go second, you play a bunch of cards and hand traps like Kite Roids and things that stop you from dying. You let your opponent hit you in the face, you pay the life point cost, search for a guaranteed fusion spell, fusion summon out your boss monster, and kill your opponent on the next turn. So your turn 1 is just survive, and that's... So using these skills might come eventually, but it's not likely we'd use this. We'd probably use Destiny Draw anyway, so this is probably just a wasted skill. But yeah, these skills seem pretty interesting. I'm kind of interested in what these conditions are, because the conditions basically make or break these skills. And there's probably a few more skills that haven't been mentioned in here yet, so... But yeah, overall, a lot of these skills seem pretty good. I'm liking the idea of making your opponent have a monster in attack position to just guaranteed lethal them, also giving you the extra resource. This one's first effect is probably something really goddamn strong, I'd imagine. So yeah, I'm looking at these skills. I'm reckoning Lunalight's probably going to be a very decent deck list. Might not be quite meta, but if it's not, it's definitely going to be rogue tier. Because I'm pretty sure people are already still king games doing Lunalight anyway, so I can look that up real quick, actually. Let me have a look. I reckon people are currently still managing to cog with this deck list. Yeah, April 25th. Yeah, okay. So people have been doing it fairly recently. Not that long ago, though. Maybe some community tournaments back in 2022. Okay, maybe people haven't been playing this deck list all that much. Alright, but that's basically going to do it for today's leaks. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you didn't, leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, looking forward to this stuff. It should be coming out very soon. I'm not actually sure when the new character's coming out, but... yeah, hopefully it comes out very soon. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you in the next one, and laters.